everybody. Turn another light on here. Welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. Got my sidekick Beatrice with me. So we dropped a load in Greencastle, PA yesterday, and I just parked overnight there. But I actually went home. My wife picked me up, and so that was cool. And we're back in the truck. We picked a load up over in Jonestown, PA, and we're at the terminal in Pittston. I just got finished doing a little workout. We had a little dinner. We're getting ready to get back on the road. We're headed up to Johnstown, New York. So, a couple of things been on my mind, and the one thing that I've been always kind of bugged about in the trucking industry is there's this notion that somehow having been a trucker for a long time is there's a seniority system, and that other truckers have to be deferential to people that have more time as steering wheel holders. And I say they're steering wheel holders because if you're over the road, most of what you do is hold a steering wheel, right? And there's a few people that don't do it that well. You see them in ditches and medians and out in the woods, but anyway, one of the things that kind of bugs me about that idea of deference is that, it's a sense of entitlement. And I think that there are a lot of people that are way too entitled in this country and think that what someone else is doing is somehow their business. And what got me to think, I've thought about this many times because I've heard people on the CB radio, and when I was with a trainer, he had a CB, and I'd hear drivers criticizing other people. I've seen it at truck stops. I've seen it just all sorts of different places. Certainly on YouTube comments or other social media. And last night, my daughter called my wife and I, and she was actually traveling up to New York State to meet up with our cousins, and they're just like at a relative's cabin for the weekend. And the dog that I kind of was trying to find a home for, we did find a home for him. By the way, his name was changed to Mark, but one of my cousins is taking him, and that works out fine, and he'll have a good home. But anyway, she called and she stopped to take Mark out to the bathroom, and he was just kind of going crazy, and so she let him go to the bathroom, but then she was like in the pet area at this rest area. So he goes to the bathroom, and she's walking back to the car to get a plastic bag. And this woman says, are you just going to leave that there? And of course, my daughter reacts in kind of a negative way, and I don't blame her, because this woman is not the dog poop police as far as I could tell, and she doesn't work at the rest area, and she wasn't even walking in the grass like she was going to step in it or something. But she just felt like she had some right to say something. And a lot of the times when I hear people that think that their opinion matters more, or that what they have to say is the way it should be or is more important, they use this term common courtesy. And there's a number of elements to this term, but the first one is, what does common courtesy mean to the person who's uttering it, who's demanding it? And I said to my wife, I said, invariably when somebody says something, like butts in, and it's not their business, or just decides that they get to say something to somebody that they don't like, whether it's they don't like that this person parked a certain way, or their dog pooped somewhere, or that a person is not speaking English in their presence, or any number of things, or they just decide that the person who they see shouldn't be in this country, in a grocery store, in a restaurant, whatever it is, right? That invariably it's a white person that's demanding something, demanding the common courtesy. And because I'm white, and usually it's old white people, and truthfully, my mom was just like this. Like, I remember being at the National Zoo with my mom one time, and there were Asian people there, and I don't know if they were Chinese. I know I can tell some Asians languages from others, but I'm guessing these people were Chinese and that they were speaking Mandarin. And my mom was incensed that they weren't speaking English. And I'm like, Mom, first of all, they don't have to speak English. Second of all, they probably actually do speak English really well. They're just not speaking it in front of you. And the other thing is, this is Washington, D.C. It's kind of an international city. Because if you've ever been to the National Zoo in D.C., it is very near lots of embassies. It's very near Embassy Row, consulates, you name it, right? So there are lots of people from other countries there, just beyond what you would normally expect to see near the U.S. Capitol. And so when I hear somebody say common courtesy, as a white guy, I'm not old though, but as a white guy who's been around old white people, I can tell you that it translates to, you're not doing something that I think you should do. And because I've now said something to you about it, you should comply, because I'm more important than you. And sometimes the other part of it is, I'm a real American. So when I hear that, I think what I just described, but, and I think of a sense of entitlement and arrogance. But the other thing is, I always think of the meaning of the term common courtesy. So let's break those two words down. And first we'll deal with the word courtesy. Courtesy comes from a word used to describe behavior at court. And when I say at court, what I mean is in the presence of royalty. So when a king or queen or monarch is on their throne and they have advisors and counselors and the court jester and other hangers-on around them, that's their court. And because these people are part of the court, they kind of assume the power of the monarch. And you've heard of the term the royal we. When somebody in the court says we, what they really mean is the monarch. But they try to sound egalitarian when they say we. And so in a court of law, it's kind of the same way, right? Like, the judge is in charge of the court. Like, they're the monarch. And they have all these other people that help them. But you have to be deferential to everybody. Okay, that's just the system. Sorry, my ear's itching. So, courtesy refers to how one was expected to behave at court and in the presence of the monarch. Okay, So what were the cultural and behavioral norms for that particular court? And then the common part comes in. Common doesn't mean like regular or usual. It means people that are not royalty. They are not part of the royal family. They are not the monarch. They are not part of the court, right? They're commoners. They're serfs. They're plebeians. They're, just uneducated, lower class. They are the subjects of the ruler, okay? And so common courtesy referred to how a commoner, a person not of royal blood or part of the court, was supposed to behave in court in the presence of royalty. And in some cases, like if the monarch was a divine right ruler, which, if you remember from high school, the definition of divine right ruler is somebody that rules with an iron fist, right, an absolutist, but who has been elevated to that role by God. So if you were to disobey them, it's like you're disobeying God, right? And then, so sometimes divine right rulers were, or commoners of a divine right ruler, or subjects of a divine right ruler, would not be allowed to look the monarch in the eye. They would have to avert their gaze. They would have to bow their head while talking. And other rulers would be just absolutists, right? And they would be like absolute monarchs, rule with an iron fist, just like the divine right ruler, but for the good of the people, basically. And that's also kind of the definition of a benevolent despot. But you get the difference. Maybe an absolutist, in other words, who did not believe that God had placed them on the throne, would allow a commoner to look at them. Maybe not. But anyway, common courtesy referred to how people were supposed to behave in the presence of royalty. And so when somebody says that term to you, well, it's only common courtesy, that is their way of saying, I get to determine how you should behave in my presence. And so when I hear these truck drivers that, barely speak English, and when I say that, I don't mean people that English is their second language. I mean guys that can't even handle subject-verb agreement, don't know where apostrophes go, can't spell anything, don't know what words mean but use them anyway. When those guys have the gall to say that it's just common courtesy that somebody does that, I'm like, dude, why don't you just tell me your crap doesn't stink? Why don't you just tell me that you put your pants on 2 legs at a time? You think you're better than other people. And if you encounter this, and here's my message about trucking, but life in general. If you encounter this, right, don't get mad, but also don't put up with it. It doesn't matter what that woman at the rest area thought about my daughter. It's none of her business. If my daughter picks up the crap or not, it's none of her business, right? And were it me, I'd have been like, hey, if you're so worried about that pile of dog shit, you go pick it up. Even if I was going to get a bag. And the same thing's true on the road, right? It's not my job to make some other chucklehead's life easier. It's not my job to make his life difficult. But if he gets mad at me when I'm just trying to operate a truck safely, or he doesn't like how slow I was backing into a parking spot at a shipper or at a truck stop or anywhere else, right? That's his problem, not mine. And I've had people act out on the road because they're just angry at people, you know, and invariably it's a white guy. And you know, I'm just like, dude, I held you up for 10 seconds of your life, and you're gonna swerve towards me, or you're gonna brake check me in your semi. Because I don't worry about four-wheelers. They're a lot of times they're just oblivious to us. They're not paying attention. I get it, right? But when you run into a trucker like that, and you will, whether it's at a truck stop or a terminal or you name it, on the CB, just ignore them, because that makes them even more angry. And it also disabuses them of the notion that their opinion is worth spit. Do not give them credence by acknowledging that they have some opinion that's worth you listening to, you know. And even if you're in a situation where you're doing your best and they're just upset, you know, like people that are climbing up, like I'm about to go through a construction zone. I already know where it is because I went through it the other night. It's 55 miles an hour, and the New York State Police actually park in it. And I'm going to go through there at 55 miles an hour. And, you know, and if the guy behind me is upset, you know, my opinion, not that I'll talk to him because I don't have a CB, but is take another route, bro. You know, it's not my problem. And so I just encourage everybody. I'm getting ready to start training when I come back from home time, and I really do want to empower people, because no one out here, no one is better than you. Okay, I don't care how much experience they got. Nobody's better. Okay, we all have a job to do. We all have the exact same rights on the highway. Nobody in America is royalty. Okay, well, maybe Meghan Markle, but not even her anymore. I think they kind of, I don't even get it, but whatever, you know. Oh, except for, I'll say Allison Felix is royalty. She's the GOAT. So congratulations to her. She's the best Olympic track and field athlete ever, from the United States certainly, but maybe ever in the history of the world. She's the Michael Phelps or the Katie Ledecky of track and field. Not just women's track and field. Also, congrats to the U.S. men. They turned things around, won the gold, so good job for them. But, you know, the women, the U.S. women's basketball team, I think is going for number 7 in a row. So the men only have 4 in a row. So more power to them. Just really great to see. So be safe out there. Enjoy your Saturday night, whatever you're doing. And you know, we'll talk to you soon. We'll be back on Tim Travels. I'll probably have I got some ideas for some history and geography that I've wanted to do for a while, so I might get a chance to do them tomorrow. So stay tuned. Oh, and by the way, we're over 350 subscribers, so that is awesome. I really appreciate all the subscribers and viewers. So the next big milestone is 360. So anyway, I appreciate the growth. I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy it when people enjoy it. So thanks for hanging around. Talk to you later. Bye.